Hey everyone, and welcome. Ready for a deep dive?
Always ready.
All right, so today we're tackling a topic that's a little spooky, honestly. The last pope.
Yeah, there's just something about that phrase, isn't there?
I know, sends chills down my spine. But, is it just like a conspiracy theory, or is there actually something to it?
Right. Could there really be a final pope?
Well, lucky for us, we've got a book to help us unpack all this. El Último Papa. Profecías, Teorías y Realidad. It dives deep into the historical side of things, different religious interpretations, and even modern speculations about the whole last pope idea.
It's a fascinating read, really gets you thinking.
Absolutely. And get this, there's this centuries-old prophecy that claims to predict how many popes there'll be.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this. Doesn't it also give like a cryptic description of the very last pope?
Exactly. That's the really juicy part. So that's where we're going to start our dump dive today.
Sounds good to me. Let's unravel this mystery.
Okay, so first up, this prophecy. It's called the Prophecies St. Malachy. Ring any bells?
Yeah, definitely. It's been around for ages, right? Like way back in the 12th century.
You got it. So the story goes, St. Malachy, this Irish archbishop, had a vision. He saw all the future popes.
All of them. Like from his time until the end.
Well, that's what the prophecy says. Apparently, he saw 112 popes, and the prophecy describes each one with a short Latin phrase.
Latin. Sounds pretty mysterious.
Oh, it is. Some of the descriptions are super clear, but others are totally cryptic. And, naturally, it's the final entry, the one about the last pope, that really grabs everyone's attention.
Makes sense. So what does it say? Who is this supposed last pope?
It says Petrus Romanus, which means Peter the Roman. Chills, right?
Ooh, yeah, okay. I see why that's gotten
Yeah.
so much attention. Peter the Roman. And isn't there more? Something about Rome itself being destroyed.
Yeah, that's another part that really freaks people out. The prophecy talks about extreme persecution and the destruction of the city of Seven Hills, which, most people interpret as Rome.
It definitely paints a bleak picture. So then some people are connecting this prophecy to Pope Francis because he's number 112.
That's right. It's like this perfect storm of speculation. We've got this prophecy pointing to a final pope described as Peter the Roman, and then boom, we've got Pope Francis, 112th pope,
Yeah.
who just happens to be the first pope from the Americas.
And people are drawing parallels between his focus on the poor and marginalized with the persecution mentioned in the prophecy.
It really makes you wonder, right? Is Pope Francis the Petrus Romanus? Is this prophecy actually legit? What's going on here?
Well, to be fair, there's a good amount of skepticism about the prophecy's authenticity. Some scholars think it might be a fake, concocted sometime in the 16th century.
A fake? Like, why would someone do that?
Well, there are theories that it was meant to influence papal elections back then, to sway things in a certain direction.
Wow, that's a whole other layer of intrigue. But, fake or not, it's undeniable that this prophecy has really fueled the whole last pope idea.
Absolutely. It's definitely added to the mystery.
For sure. So let's step back from the prophecy for a bit and look at the bigger picture.
Sounds good.
What are some of the main theories out there about a potential last pope? Our source book, El Último Papa, lays out three big ones.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first is, well, pretty straightforward. It's called the end of the papacy.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory.
It suggests that, for whatever reason, the Catholic Church, as we know it, could just stop existing.
And what would cause that?
Well, there are a lot of factors at play. Declining church attendance in some parts of the world, scandals, political pressure, you name it. All of these things, alone or together, could create a world where the Pope just isn't relevant anymore.
That's a pretty dramatic shift.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy scenario.
Oh.
So let's move on to the second theory. This one's called a new religious era.
A new religious era. Okay, I'm intrigued.
This one's a bit more hopeful, I guess you could say. It suggests that instead of disappearing completely, the papacy could undergo a radical transformation.
Oh, I see. Like a major reformation.
Exactly. So maybe a future pope, initiates some huge reforms that lead to a completely new branch of Christianity, one that's more aligned with modern values, maybe more inclusive.
It's interesting to think about what that would look like, how it would change things.
I know, right? And the fact that a single person, a pope, could potentially reshape something as old and established as the Catholic Church, it's mind-boggling.
It really is.
Okay, so ready for the third theory?
Hit me with it.
All right, this one's a bit more, well, let's just say it's got some serious biblical vibes going on.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's called the Antichrist theory.
Whoa. Okay, that sounds intense.
It is. This theory draws a lot from the book of Revelation. and basically suggests that the last pope could be, a false prophet, someone aligned with, like, the forces of evil.
Whoa, hold on. So we're talking like the Antichrist himself, the end of the world stuff.
Well, some people interpret it that way, yeah.
Cool.
They believe that the last pope will help bring about the end times.
Okay, that's definitely a lot to process.
I know. It's heavy stuff. So with all these theories swirling around, where does Pope Francis fit into all of this? I mean, he's been a pretty unconventional pope, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. Pope Francis is a really fascinating figure in all of this.
He's not afraid to shake things up a bit, right?
Nope. He's all about social justice, environmentalism, interfaith dialogue. Those are all pretty progressive ideas, especially for a pope.
Yeah, he's not afraid to challenge the status quo, and that's made him both admired and criticized,
Right. There are definitely people who aren't too happy with his reforms, but that's what makes him so interesting in the context of these last pope theories. Could he be the one, whether he means to or not, who sets off a fundamental change in Catholicism?
I mean, is he pushing the church toward a more open and inclusive future? Or is he, like, accidentally creating the conditions for a huge split, a schism within the church? It's really hard to say.
There are just so many possibilities. It's really exciting to think about.
I know. But I have to admit, with all this talk of prophecies and theories, I'm starting to wonder, are we maybe overestimating how fragile the Catholic Church is?
That's a really good point. It's easy to get swept up in all the what-ifs, but we need to remember that the Catholic Church has been around for over 2,000 years. It's survived wars, plagues, internal conflicts. It's incredibly resilient.
Yeah, you're right. The Vatican, as a political and economic power, is also pretty stable, right?
Exactly. So maybe we shouldn't be so quick to assume it's going anywhere anytime soon.
So while these prophecies and theories are definitely interesting to think about, it's important to keep that historical context in mind.
I agree. The church has constantly adapted and evolved throughout history. Who's to say it won't continue to do so?
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The mystery of the last pope remains unsolved for now.
For now, yes. But I think exploring these ideas, even the ones that seem a little out there, can really help us think critically about the future, about how institutions evolve, the power of belief.
Right. And how we interpret prophecies and predictions.
Exactly. It makes you think, if the papacy did end, what would that mean for organized religion as a whole? Would we see a shift towards more individual spirituality, or would something else entirely take its place?
Wow, those are some really thought-provoking questions. Definitely something to ponder.
Definitely.
And on that note, we'll leave you all to do some pondering of your own. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the last Pope mystery. Until next time.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.